Hi, this is Different Walk Serious Talks, and you've joined us again with all of our co-hosts, Farah, Autumn, Keisha, and myself, Jessica. And we also have a guest today, Shakola, who has a degree in economics and is going to have input on our topic for today, which is financial wellness. So we want to answer a couple of questions, including our primary topic is going to be what were you taught about wealth building growing up? And what has shaped your spending habits. But also, we want to kind of dive into what are your investment tips? What would you invest in if you had unlimited capital, right? And even without unlimited capital, what can we invest in right now? So, thank you for joining us today, Shakola.
It was a pleasure being here.
So, what about you? What has shaped your investment, your spending habits over time?
For me, I've always been a person who liked to live off a budget, and just from my first job, my grandma and my uncles like always save a little bit of something. And also, I don't have a ton of people to fall back on and say, "Hey, can I get $1,000 for rent?" So I just make sure I have me some kind of nest egg to make sure I'll be secure. And also, I have four children that depend on me.
What about you guys? What shaped you guys' spending habit?
Being poor, and poor helps shape my spending habits for sure. Growing up like that, you have to make a dollar stretch just so you can make ends meet. So I've always wanted to never go back to that.
Being a giver. I always want to give some money away, so I have to go ahead and realize that, oh yeah, I need a dollar too. So I have to make sure that I save for myself and save for others.
What about you, Autumn?
Just making sure I had a better lifestyle.
And I feel
You
like
just
what's shaped mine has been quite a few things. Primarily, like you guys have mentioned, like growing up without, and then trying to get past a feeling of lack. So I think that can really shape spending habits to the point where you're like, well, I need it right now because I'm not going to get it in the future. And it's something to overcome if you want to really build that nest egg and invest. I think it's one thing that plagues our communities is that that need for that immediate gratification. And so we have to kind of get past that to shape our spending habits properly, to get that nest egg and to invest and to get past our fears, because a lot of us weren't taught much about investing growing up. So I don't know about you guys, but I had no idea anything about investing. I thought it was for people who had money. So if you've got a lot of money, of course you're going to invest. You've got lots to be able to spend. But as I got older, I realized that's not the case. You invest because you want to build that nest egg. So what do you guys think?
yeah.
I think
I
that
mean,
there's different reasons to invest. Children, having elderly depend on you, wanting to take vacations. I think you invest in having fun and getting an education. So you have to make sure that you equally invest in different things.
What about you, Chicola?
Investing, I think that's the biggest myth when it comes to investing, that you need a lot of money to start investing, which is very untrue. Start with something, because what people don't realize, time value of money is the biggest thing. The longer you're in the market, the more it's going to grow. So somebody who starts at 20 years old, they may only have to put in 40,000 to get to that million by the time they're 65. But that person starting at 30, they're going to have to put in 100,000 to get to that million by the time you're 65. So it's about the time in the market. So if you have $25 a month, start with that, but just start somewhere. And that's just like with a stock called, it's called Nvidia. It's one of, it's actually the largest company in the United States of America, and its growth is actually bigger than a lot of countries' GDP. But in 2022, Nvidia fell to like $20 a share. If you would have sold out because you were scared when you bought it at $40, you would have missed out. Right now, Nvidia is selling at $173. So that $1,000 in Nvidia in 2022 would yield you over 10 grand now. So it's just, that myth of you need a lot of money. That's not true. Just put something in there. It's called DCA, which is dollar cost averaging. Buy $100 worth of whatever your favorite stock is every month and just let it continue to grow and sit there. Honestly, if you hold any asset 10 years or more, you're going to win. Always. When it's definitely a fundamentally great company, you're going to always win.
Okay. Yeah, I think that really is a big thing. I've just started to invest in the last couple of years, and I remember being younger and seeing like other people investing, and I was like very scared. Like even when I started making more money, I was like, well, I don't really have that kind of money. My 401k, sure, they invest in stocks, but I just need my 401k and I'll be fine. That's what that's for. And that's definitely not the case. I've realized that as I got older, things like diving into stocks, and I don't know much about stocks. For me, I just primarily look at buy low, sell high. And I look at the last year and last 5 years of how a stock has done to try to base whether or not I want to buy that stock. One of the things I've started looking for recently is a 52-week low. So I look at stocks that have a 52-week low because so Shakola gives tips on Facebook for investing, and she's kind of got the wheels turning for me as well as a couple of friends that I've been chatting about investing. The 52-week low, you can Google it and it'll tell you companies that have recently, within the last week or two, hit their 52-week low. And so what that'll do is tell you if they are at their 52-week low, you might be getting something that's low, but you also want to see how that stock has been doing over time. So in the last year, in the last 5 years, it may have a 52-week low, but it may be actually that it only goes up and down a couple of cents anyway. So you definitely want to look at what the history looks like. But that's really, again, I'm not great for tons of stock tips, but that's what I've been doing recently. And it has been slowly growing my stock portfolios.
And like how I like to explain that to people is buying a great company at the wrong price is not a good investment. So Microsoft is a wonderful company to, have in your portfolio. Right now it's running at like $507. If you buy it at its 52-week high, every stock has to pull back. The stock market has to pull back to continue to go forward. So if you buy it at 507, when that pullback hit and it goes to 400, you're negative $107. But if you always wait for a company to go at least 20% off of that 52-week high and it's a great company, you're going to always win. So that is the key. Look at whatever their 52-week high is and make sure you're buying not within the 20% mark of that 52-week high. Now, there's a few stocks out there right now that are running and they're keep running, and it might be okay to get it at 10% off the 52-week high. But generally, the rule of thumb is always 20% or more off that 52-week high, and you're going to be good.
That's awesome. And Autumn, I know you're into investing, and I've heard you talk about sin stocks. What are sin stocks?
I dabble in all kinds of trading. Double my money, I'm into it, such as real estate. Still shaky with the crypto forex investing, but I do have sin stocks.
Autumn, your audio is but intermittent.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
That sounds good.
Okay. So I've dabbled in some different kinds of trading avenues. As far as sin stocks are not that's to invest in. Sin stocks are like gambling, such as casinos, cigarettes, just things that's considered sinful. Gambling, where people place bets, just different stuff like
Okay.
that. But I like to do stocks that have dividends, that can pay out. So that's what I
Mm.
do my investing. I have an account for each of my children, and one of the stocks in it is a tobacco stock from the UK. A lot of people like to smoke. Okay, smoking's not going anywhere. Right? So I found a cent stock that paid dividends.
Your audio is still a bit intermittent. But what it sounded like you were saying, just to reiterate for anybody that might not have heard, you have accounts for each of your children, and your sin stocks are basically stocks that you would consider sins, like gambling, smoking, drinking, those sorts of things. And you currently have a tobacco stock in the UK, but it sounds like your audio is not connecting all the way. So some words do, like, they block out for a moment.
Now, is it better?
A bit, but it's still here that it's going out a bit.
But I think that's a genius idea because people always have their vices. I never thought about it like that.
Yeah.
There's money to be made.
Yes. Hmm.
It does sound like that's a huge it's a huge thing to think about. She was like, people are always smoking, and Farrah was like, yes.
Oh, you saw that too?
So one of the things I did want to touch on is how this impacts Black families. So I think in the Black communities, even less than most communities, A lot of times you see that people are more scared of investing, more scared of their money, maybe not stretching to where it could because they're putting it into investments. So, what do you guys think? How can that change in the Black community?
Learn to live frugally.
Change your mindset. Everything deals with the mind. Your mindset, you get out of lack. If you live in lack, you attract lack. I've been teaching myself this for the past 10 years of changing the way I thought about money. It's done wonders. I've read a lot of books pertaining to money and how we was raised to think about money, how we deal with money.
So how can we change that for the community though? Like so we can change it individually. I can change my thought process about how I think about money, and I can talk to Farah and say, hey, this is what I want to do. She can talk to me about her the things she wants to do. But those of us who kind of have the idea already, we will continue with that idea. But how do we change it for the Black community?
We got to speak out more, and I agree with Autumn. It's definitely a mind thing, and just for anybody who does need to change their mindset regarding money, there's a book called Psychology of Money by Morgan Huxley that is amazing. And I also like Atomic Habit, but Psychology of Money really does shift your mind frame about how money works, how the psychology of what we're thinking really changes how you think about money. But I think we just got to start with the people around us. That's why I post what I post on Facebook, just to kind of get people to see it. Because sometimes you have to visualize it and see it in black and white, see those numbers and see how things can change. And I know it's so hard when you're coming from a mind of scarcity, not having enough. But the government takes their taxes before you get your money. Why not pay yourself first, just like the government takes it from you? If you put it in an account before you spend, you're not going to miss it. You figure out how to work around that money that you're not using. And the biggest thing I would say, everybody got to start with their 401ks and take that company match and then move from there.
I think a lot of people are missing the free money.
Oh, yeah.
So they'll
Company match is amazing.
yes. So then I have a question around that then. Do you suggest that people max out what they can put into their 401k, or do you suggest that they invest separately? So just to the company match or invest separately?
I say always up into the company match, and anything you have after that you can also invest. You need to open up a Roth IRA. And a Roth IRA will allow you to invest up to $7,000 per year. And if you're over the age of 50, you can invest $8,000 per year. And how I like to explain the Roth IRA versus that 401k and why I prefer it. A Roth IRA is like, when it comes to the taxes on the investment, with a 401k, you're putting that money in there pre-tax. So when you get ready to withdraw it during your retirement years, you're going to be taxed at whatever your ordinary income tax rate is. So let's say you put 300,000 into your 401k, grows to 1 million. When you're taking that million out, it's taxed at your ordinary income tax rate. So if when you retire, you're at a 25% tax bracket, it's going to hit whatever you pull out at 25%. Whereas with a Roth IRA, you put in that 300,000, it grows to 1 million. You take it out dollar for dollar with no taxes because you're investing in after tax money. In a way, I kind of put that analogy out there. Do you want to pay taxes on the seed, or do you want to pay taxes on that huge harvest? A 401k to me is that huge harvest. The Roth is the seed. So I prefer a Roth IRA if you have extra money. Now, when you get in there making those big bucks, of course, you're going to invest more in that 401k to get that tax break during these early years, but most definitely always to the company max and then to the Roth IRA, because with the Roth IRA, it's self-directed. It's times I return 30 and 40% a year in my Roth IRA because I'm putting the money in there and investing the way that I want to invest it. And also sometimes with the 401k, people just allow it to invest how they want. The company puts it. So most 401ks, they give you company stock and they put you in a targeted date fund. Targeted date funds are great, but it's not going to move as fast as the large cap, which is the S&P 500. So the allocation currently for my 401k is 84% is in my S&P 500 fund, 14% is in that targeted date fund, which is 2050 for my age group, and then 2% in my company stock. Like when everybody was losing money during the pandemic, I wasn't negative 30%. I didn't get hit as hard because of where my money was at. Even like last year, I think my 401k did 24%. So it's important to allocate your 401k where you want to go. So everybody check your 401k, see where the money's actually going. And like I said, most of them are going to be going to that target date fund. Start slowly shifting that money into that S&P 500, and you're going to be happy with the results of what your account's doing.
Okay. Good to know.
Hmm.
That is very good to know. It's good information because I think for I'm old. I'm not gonna play like I'm young. So I've been, I've had a 401k for 20 years, but I want to say I've only made changes probably in the last couple of years. So, anytime that I've been in a company and I've had a 401k, I was like, they got it. They know what they're doing. Obviously, I don't. So I'm gonna let the people who know what they're doing do the thing that they do, and that's just not it. It doesn't make any sense. I know lots of people who've had a 401k at a company, and companies go, bankrupt, and that 401k like bottoms out because
I remember.
a lot of that was in the company stock. Yeah,
Hmm.
it was in company stock, and it was in like very slow earning areas. So like they couldn't overcome the amount that that was negative based upon the average of stock. So it's definitely something to pay more attention to. And I know, Markeisha, you've done you've bought homes a couple of times, and your investments into land. You've taught me a couple of things. When you're buying a house, do you have any tips for like that sort of investment?
When it comes to buying a house, I tend to look at the area that I'm in and what the potential for growth is. So I've owned two homes, and in both of them, my equity has gone way up because I could already see, okay, they're going to start building over here. There's plans to go ahead and expand this road. And I remember when we bought this house here, my father-in-law, he is in construction, he builds homes. And, it's his first time visiting us. And I was like, yes, this house is going to be worth $1 million one day. And he was like, I do this for a living. Houses only reach a certain price point. I don't know if you're going to get that far. And I was like, okay, Dad. My house is now like 1.3 million because I
Oh
knew
wow.
that they had plans on building up this way. They're going to go, and they actually did it. I mean, so I already knew. I was like, I'm just going to see what the forecast looks like, and that's what I'm going to buy.
It's fantastic. Like that's when I bought my home. That's actually one of the things because I we had that conversation, and I was like, well, I'm buying an area that's pretty new. It's a new build. What's coming afterwards? Because I never thought about that before. I was like, you buy a house because you're gonna live in it, and you go have your husband and your babies, and like, and then my mindset shifted to owning property as an asset, and I think that's one thing that really gets looked over too often is that we think that we need to have a family, and I'm a single woman. I have a decent job, but I didn't buy a house, until I was 37 years old because I was thinking, well, when I get married, I'll buy a house with my
You
husband.
romanticized it.
I romanticized what really is a financial asset. And if I do get married, when I do get married, because I'm calling it, I've already asked God for what I want. So,
Claim it, girl.
when I get it, I'm going to bring those financial assets into the union, and I can bring myself and my financial assets, and he brings himself and his financial assets, and then we come to the table and figure out like what we want to do with those assets going forward. But they are assets. They're not just a home to live in. I can rent this out, if especially if he owns a home. Then you have rental income. I always had the intent to eventually rent out this house and purchase another home to live in because this is a much better rental property than it is to live here. It's fantastic as it is now because I'm getting a homestead exemption and that sort of things. You can take advantage of those, any exemptions or tax breaks you get from owning a home, but it is really an asset, and shifting my mindset to that, maybe also think about the improvements that I'm going to make to my home, the place that I purchased my home, anything that I'm going to do to my home while I live in it, because a lot of times when we live in a home, we make all these changes that are sometimes not great for what you would do to rent a home out. So lots of holes in the walls, lots of great big improvements, solar panels on the roof and things like that. And unless you're going to bake that into the price you're going to rent it out at, you're not making a good investment, right? So you've got to kind of weigh out exactly what you're investing for. So those are things that I've been thinking of about how I'm making my investment in my asset. So
Diversify your
But yeah,
investments.
it's very
yes,
important.
that
Make
is
sure that
really,
you're
really
investing
important.
in more than just seriousness. You have to make sure that you're diversifying and making sure you invest in fun, save for fun, save for your children. All your children should have their own bank account, investment account. And not just that, you should be saving for their fun too. If you sit there and only save for seriousness and you want to sit there and buy a bag of chips and all that junk that you're wasting on, but you're not saving for your fun to go to the escape room or on vacation, then you're going to splurge when it's time to go have fun and use money that you didn't have. But if you
That's
diversified and invested in it, then you already have that money sorted out. And you could be like, well, this is my budget for this vacation because I already been saving for 10 months. Or this is my, even just small things, I go ahead and budget out. I'm like, well, next week I'm going to take my daughter to Monkey Joe's and we're going to go by the little town. So I might need $50 for that week to take her to a couple of different little taller towns. So I make sure I put that in my budget so that way I don't go ahead and pull it from groceries or clothes or whatever fun time that I want to have. So that way next time I'm not trying to figure out, well, am I going to have fun this week? Because obviously, as a mom, we need to have fun too. We don't want to be stressed out. So you need to go ahead and put that in. So diversify your portfolio.
I completely agree. It's just like dieting. If you diet, you shouldn't deny yourself everything that you like to diet. What you should do is have things in small portions, because eventually you're going to break and splurge and you're going to get, 3,000 calories worth of cake rather than a nice tiny little slice to satisfy that sweet tooth. You've got to control your portions of everything, and that's in pretty much anything in life. The things that we do to invest in, got to think about it in sort of multifaceted ways. What kind of financial investments, what kind of life investments you want, because that's another piece to it is, sometimes depending on where we are in life, we're going to invest differently, because of our future. Go ahead, Autumn.
I want.
we can't hear you, girl. What happened?
Can you hear me?
I think
It's
so.
still going in and out a little bit. A
Can you hear me still? No.
Okay, this sounds like something.
little better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Miss Shakola, I do have a question.
Mhm.
What kind of financial advice would you give to the people that works only make bring
I heard you say what kind of financial advice I give to people that work, but I can't hear what type of jobs. What was that again, Autumn?
McDonald's? Like, say somebody's working at these, low level restaurant, provide to those that don't have a lot of income or don't have a high income producing job or occupation, because that's where a lot of the black or minority communities, that's where most of us are playing, and that's where we get our money from, the low level jobs. It's not a lot of folks that have six figure jobs and so on and so forth. So for the people that makes medium to low income, and I mean low income, that's the problem. Where or what kind of advice would you provide to those that really would want to pull themselves out of the constraints that they're in, basically, and work with what they have? Do you have
I'm going to restate that just because you're going in and out a little bit, just for any of the viewers. So basically, what type of advice would you give to people who are working at lower wage jobs, who might not think that they have the capital because they're working at a McDonald's or a Wendy's or maybe a small call center, and are making lower wages? So what kind of financial advice could you give to them to start investing?
Basically
One,
living
they're gonna,
paycheck to paycheck.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
One, they're gonna have to really horn in on a budget. I think a lot of people lack budgeting skills. I live off a zero-based budget. You need to know where your money's going to know what you have and what else you can do to change your thing. first it would be just reducing any variable costs that they can, like, if they tend to get a pedicure once a month, maybe cut that out and put that in your saves until you get that emergency savings of 1,000. And I'm not saying sacrifice forever, but if it's a year of you cutting back on eating out or cutting back on the hairdos and doing them at home or your nails yourself, do that so you'll have that money. And then also, I know a lot of people don't want to hear it because they're like, well, I can't. You're going to have to increase your skills. You're going to have to go try to get a certification or something to increase your wages. You can increase your wages. It's going to take some sacrifice, but you need to do something else besides allowing McDonald's to be where you stop at. And even if you don't go to school per se, there's things within the stock market that'll 10 times your money if you learn it, but it's going to take hours and time and studying to get that. Like for me creating my soft life is me learning option trading. Option trading is risky. It's very risky, but and it's gonna be like a 2-year learning curve. You're not gonna get it in a couple months, but what it yields is massive. Like I've literally made $1,200 in 5 minutes from one trade. Like on Friday, there was a coin contract. It was $34 to get that contract. It was a put, and that's something I can maybe come back another day and we can explain. But that $34 contract went to $900 in 2 hours. Everybody working at McDonald's got $34. So it's things in this stock market that will make you rich. I will literally sit here at my work desk and work and put in a trade and get $200 in 15 minutes and close my computer and then go back to working. So there's things that you can get this money, but I understand the paycheck to paycheck is scary. It sucks, but honestly, you got to increase your skills. Go to school, get a certificate, do something else. You can't just stay at McDonald's and accept that for your life. You deserve more. We're not meant here to live paycheck to paycheck. Get the abundance that God has for you. So they're gonna have to increase their skills. That's it. Point blank. Period. They gotta increase their skills. They gotta get more money.
And also,
So
if you
one thing
don't
I
want
heard
to
you
increase your
say,
skills,
I'm sorry.
I just wanted to point out that you could also just get another job. A lot of people sit here and only have
Second
one
job.
job. I worked 3 jobs until I saved enough money. I know a lot of people were like, "Oh my God, when do you sleep?" I slept. I slept enough to get to the next job. Sometimes you got to put in the work. I may not have built up my skills right away, and it did take years. I was going to school, I was working, and you remember when I was working 2 different gas stations plus a toy store, it was difficult. And sometimes I didn't know if I was at work or if I was asleep. But at the end of the day, I liked what I liked. I still ate what I wanted. I went where I wanted to go, and I saved my money and I built myself up to make sure that I had some savings to get out of where I was.
Sacrifice.
Yeah.
Do the work. Yeah.
And one of the things I heard you say that people might not understand, what is a zero-based budget?
Zero-based budget, basically, if you bring in $5,000 a month, your budget should say zero once you put all the money. You give every dollar something to do. So whether that money is going to savings, going to, eating out, everything needs to have a job. Every dollar needs to have a job at the end of your budget once you're done. I'm so meticulous with my budget. If I buy a pack of bubble gum for $1, I go ahead and add it to my eating out portion of my budget. Like I don't miss any dollar that I spend. I can go back into my computer right now and tell you what my light bill was in 2017. I make sure I know where my money is going. But yeah, zero-based budget is basically giving every dollar a job, no matter where you got it going. And you need to know where every dollar goes that you bring into your home.
So
Can I
I
ask
saw
you a
somebody
question?
do that in
Sorry.
I was just going to say, I
So,
saw somebody do that in a real life
go ahead.
application one time. So I think it's important to hang out with different kinds of people because I was hanging out with this lady that's a little bit younger than me and she was a blast. I was like, she's like 10 years my junior. And I was like, what am I doing? But she was very sweet and she was so much fun. But when we went out, she pulled out her wallet to pay for like, a snack that we were stopping to get. And every single card in her wallet had a label on it. One said rent. One said utilities. One said for food. One said, and I was like, this young lady done taught me something. So I think she was following that method. Like every single dollar was divided among different bank accounts, and each account had a different card. And I was like, I'm gonna be like her one day. When I grow up, I'm gonna be like that young lady.
And you partially started answering my question. I was actually about to ask you what type of categories do you separate your zero-based budget into, and do you have subcategories?
There's a housing, credit card, vehicle, food, miscellaneous, entertainment, personal, and within those categories, it's broken completely down. Like I got sun, haircut, a pedicure, clothes, whatever. I change it throughout every month because one month I may not have to pay for this or that. So I type in whatever I need to add to that particular category. Within the housing budget, it's the yard man, it's the like household expenses that's within there. So you can just kind of break it up. I use an Excel spreadsheet to keep track of this, so it tallies up all the numbers, for me.
Do you ever review your budget?
I review my budget about every day, just about every day. Because, like, literally, if I go to Chick-fil-A, I'm gonna go ahead and add that $29 I spent to whatever I've already spent so far that month. So I look at my budget every single day. Sometimes, I might have to change. I might allocate $150 to my pedicures, and I'm like, you know what? I think I want to put that in the market, and I'll take it back and then go ahead and put it in my brokerage account instead, depending on what's happening, that month. So I change my budget throughout the month. If I'm spending a little bit more on groceries than I wanted to, then I'll pull the money from the eating out portion and throw that 50 towards grocery. So my grocery budget is 500 a month. Well, 400 a month, and then the eating out is 150. So if I'm getting close to hitting budget on the groceries, I might just say I'm only do 100 for the eating out and add that 50 towards the groceries. So I shift the money around based on what's happening that month. So that's just how I do it.
Nice.
That's really the important part, is that what she just said was that she has an eating out budget and she shifted the money from one to the other. So when you have a zero base, like, you can't just say, "Oh well, I'm just over. I had $150, but I'm only $15 over." That's fine. That's not how that works. So you have to shift the money, and you have to understand to track it, where it goes and where it's going to come from, because that's how you get into the negative, and that's how you end up racking up those credit card bills and racking up those additional charges. I've done it before. I was terrible about that when I first got this house, because I needed to get new flooring, because I had to get the carpet. They had no option for me to get tile floors, and I have asthma. I gotta get the carpet. Okay, well, there's nowhere to put anything because there's no shelving. All right, well, I gotta get all these shelving units. Okay, no problem. Well, I need to get these appliances, these major appliances. All right, cool. I'm gonna put those on the card. It's fine. I'm gonna get it at a 0% APR for as many things as I can. I need new bed. I need new that. So I did that when I got the house, and then I realized I've been budgeting all this time, and I acted like getting the house was throwing that out the window. That was completely the wrong way to treat the investment, because the investment was so that I better in the future. But really, what I'm doing is putting myself under by not going back to the budgeting that I was doing prior. So that is a really, really important part to stick to about what you said, is that you're moving the money. It's not
And
just
also,
using extra money. You're moving the allocation from one place to another, and you're tracking that to make sure that you're never going over your monthly spend.
okay, so that
Exactly.
brings another question. Okay, so that's all and good, but just like you said, you're single, you're getting your life together. How do you do it, Shakola, with children when you always have unexplained, just life? Oh my God, every day is something. So how do you account for that and budget that in?
Well, I can
Wait, before
say
you
that.
before you answer, can you also answer, sometimes when you go out to eat, it costs just as much as more as a grocery budget because it's all the same now. What used to save money by cooking at home, now the grocery's so high, I might as well just I should have just went out to Olive Garden or whatever. Because what the hell? If you could answer that too, please.
Now,
Thank you.
groceries, I'm gonna tell y'all my trick to the trade. So I have Kroger. I am from Orlando, but I'm currently in Georgia. We have Kroger, but I actually do pickup orders, and I always do them on a Friday because one, they give you 4 times the fuel points. So basically, whenever I fill up, I end up taking like $1 off of each gallon of gas. But I do pick up orders because it stopped impulse buying. I can see what my list is there. I could go down to the pantry, make sure I'm not doubling up. Because how many times have you came home with a jar of mayonnaise like you had another one in the pantry? Like, dang, that was $5 I could have saved. But I do pick up orders because it keeps me from impulse buying. When we're in the store, we never walk out with just our list. We drop. Let me. But the pickup order keeps me with what I got is what I want. And then also sometimes my pickup order might be $3.50, but then I'm like, oh, that's a little high. And I start taking stuff off and taking off until I get to maybe that 200. And so the pickup orders is how I kind of keep within that budget. I try not to eat out a ton because I'm real heavy on this fire journey, basically financial independence, retire early. I'm on this journey. So right now I'm making those sacrifices. Like normally I used to go get my pedicures once a month. Don't do it anymore. I can afford it and I can do it, but I choose not to because I would rather put it in my Roth or in my brokerage because I don't want to work until 67. So right now my fire calculations is 55, but with this option trade, I think I'm gonna get it down to 50. But like I said, so pickup orders is key for me because it keeps me from impulse buying when it comes to groceries. And like I say, my eating out budget is only 150 for me and the kids. I normally do like the little app so to give you points so you can kind of get the stuff cheaper sometimes with the food. But my kids are little. Like I have four, but my oldest is 19, so I don't have to feed her as much, but I have a 9-year-old, a 5-year, and a 4-year-old, so they don't eat a ton. So that's why my budget is able to stay, a little bit smaller than the rest of you. Now they do get me going over this grocery budget during the summer because they love their snacks, but I'm fortunate enough that I can say I've been in my career for a little minute, so I'm comfortable. I'm able to pay bills and invest and save money at the same time. So I'm not a paycheck to paycheck person. So it's okay for me now. But when I was close to that paycheck to paycheck person, it was always about the budget. I stuck to the budget. I can't afford it this month. I can't do it. I'm not gonna impulse buy. I don't have it.
That's awesome. 50 is amazing. Like that's like there's so many
That's gonna
people
be my
who
my stretch goal.
oof, man, that's fantastic because there's so many people who barely even started saving, and everybody on this call is around the 40-year mark. So it's one thing that that I don't think we always look at the long term, and especially for anybody who catches this who is younger. Now is the time to start. If you're not younger,
Should have started in
now is the time
kindergarten.
to start.
It's crazy.
It's never. Yeah, it's very difficult because especially now more and more young people are living at home for longer. Take advantage of it. Take advantage of that time frame. Take advantage of the ability to have put those things in the stock market. Make other investments if you can. Because I know I didn't get the chance to, but that was a lot of it was lack of knowledge. I didn't have much money, but even if I would have known back then, I would have been like, I have $10. I will eat at home when I get there. I'm going to use this $10 to put it into investing because I would have been able to see the long-term plan, the bigger picture.
Also, another thing
So,
is people forget to lean on each other. You have family, live together. It's okay. I know it could be a little bit annoying because you don't want to relive or rehash what you had to grow up with. Me and my sister live together right now, and we have some hard times and we have some great times. But at the end of the day, we're helping each other save. We're leaning on each other so that we can build a better future for our children. Don't forget that you have
Absolutely.
family. Lean on each other. And if everybody moves into one big house, dear Jesus, everybody gets food all the time. Somebody's always cleaning. Y'all forgetting about all the perks. So,
Yeah, it's a
try and
trap.
lean on each other.
I really think the way that we are conditioned in this society specifically is in fact a trap. Because all those things that you just talked about eventually become like commercialized and you have to buy that separately now, right? They tell you, you got to keep up with the Joneses, you got to have your own, you have to have this, that, and the third. But if you didn't buy into that, you could have just stayed in that home. You don't have to pay for a nanny now because your sister's there. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to pay for a cook or a maid service because everybody's helping each other out. But instead, sometimes we fall into that trap of like, oh, we got to do it all on my own. And now you're paying for these services that you would have had with your community if you had just stayed in close proximity. So don't fall for that trap. Like, we don't all have to get it out the mud. We don't have, like, you could actually just lean on each other. I look after you, you look after me. One hand washes the other. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And that's how we were able to come up out of such dire straits in the past, because we stuck together. So when they try to tell you, oh no, you don't have your own this, that, and the third, don't buy into it. You'll get it eventually. You'll get it when you're ready. Because my mindset now is, if I can't afford to buy it twice, then I can't afford it at all. So I just wait.
Ooh, I like that.
And I lean on the people, and I wait until I can afford to buy it twice.
Teach yourself patience. Patience is hard. Patience is difficult.
I'm not good at patience, but like you said, like we all talked about, you gotta try to bigger picture it. Bigger picture. So at least I can pretend to have patience, you know.
Well, I don't necessarily have patience, but I do have like little things that I do to try to stop myself from impulse buys. So I do have a policy with myself that I do not buy things as soon as I see them. So if I want that purse, that I want those shoes, if I want that new computer, whatever it might be, I first look at, I compare pricing, because I'm huge on comparing pricing, and then I sit on it. So if it's a 24-hour sale, I never catch the first one, because I got to sit on it for 24 hours. So I got to wait for the next 24-hour sale to come if I was looking at that, because it's a sale that I'm like, everybody wants to sell something. So more than likely, this is not going to be the last sale that they ever do. So I'm going to sit on it. Maybe they'll extend it to tomorrow. And if I go and look at it and it is the same price tomorrow and I still want it badly, I'm going to get it. If I have the funds, right? If it's within my funds for purchasing it for that month, right? But a lot of times I go back the second day and I'm like, meh, I'm good. It's fine.
That
like,
purse ain't that cute. Honestly, that purse, I got a pair like it at home.
And that a lot of times keeps me from a lot of the impulse buys, especially electronics buys, because I'm huge on kitchen appliances and electronics buys. I'm a techie and I love to cook. So especially for my kitchen, I already have like 6 or 7 different type of pressure cookers. I have several crock pots. I have several different appliances of all sorts. But I go on an app and I start looking. And I'm like, oh my god, mine does
purple.
10 things. But 10 thing, I need that one. Like, so I put it in the cart and I'm gonna wait till tomorrow. And usually by tomorrow I'm like, girl, stop tripping. You don't need any more things that pressure cook anything. You have a sous vide, you have pressure cookers, you have slow cookers, you have multi cookers. Like, you don't need nothing. You don't need it. So it's really important to like have that cool off period, because a lot of times those ads are meant to draw you in. Like, ads for things are meant to draw you in. That's for. And they want you to have that immediate gratification of pressing that buy, purchase that thing. But if you can allow yourself to have that cool off period, a lot of times, the stars in your eyes fade and it's not quite as cool as it initially was. It's not, you don't need it quite as much. And it's easier to say, no, I'm good. I have what I need. I can spend that money on putting extra $10, like Shakola said. I'm gonna put an extra couple dollars this month into the stock market. I'm gonna go and do something else different that is a lot more helpful in the long run for what I'm looking to do. So I do have a question for everybody. If you had unlimited funds and you already had money, like you already have your target, but this is just fun investing, right? Something that you think is fun. What would you invest in? Like what type of thing?
Breastfeeding.
Okay.
There's not enough stuff regarding breastfeeding, period. Foods, clothes, places to go. Like, while you're breastfeeding, it can get lonely. I need somewhere to go and chill and breastfeed my baby while having a conversation with other breastfeeding mamas. And maybe, maybe they have this allergy, because I had so many allergies while I was breastfeeding, or not me, the baby had allergies. So, I couldn't eat raspberries or I couldn't drink milk. No restaurant accounts for that. Nobody. So you don't have a choice. Even when you don't have the time to sit there and cook for yourself, you don't have the choice to make sure you get the right nutrition unless you stay up all night and you tired from already dealing with the baby, but you gotta fix your own special food. It don't make any kind of sense. Or even when if your milk start to go dry, you gotta go and find some recipe to make the milk come back. Or when you have too much milk, how to make it go down. There's so many things surrounding breastfeeding, but
Yeah.
nowhere to go.
So you would invest in kind of a breastfeeding market, um,
Yes.
in that market. All
And the
right.
clothes are so ugly, so ridiculous,
So
So
so ugly.
so basically, if anybody has the capital that they would like to invest, that would be Farrah's Voice is her handle, and reach out and she can do some business with you. So what about you, Markeisha?
okay, so I have like, I thought about this before, like what would my toxic rich trait be? And also like my serious answer, if I was being toxic, I probably would never wear the same outfit twice. Not because I love fashion so much, which I do, but I also hate laundry. Like I hate that shit is never done. You're never done doing it. Keeps coming. You got to wash what you're wearing. You got to wash the towel that you had on when you was trying to not dirty up some. I hate it. So I would just buy new clothes. I would just buy new clothes and I would throw it out. But I want to be environmentally responsible. So maybe they'll be very recyclable clothes. I don't know. But that would be my toxic rich people trait for sure. And if I wanted to be serious about capital unlimited, I'm buying land because they're not making more of it. Just get you some land, get you some more land, and then hold on to it. So
I
I
love
would love a
that.
little island with just
I'm
us.
buying land because
Don't
they're not making more of it. I like that.
they not. So yeah.
It is quite limited. Okay. What about you, Shakola?
On the serious note, and that's a part of my plan anyhow, is teaching financial literacy to the underprivileged community. I need more of us to be a part of this stock market because it's a wealth builder. It changes you. I watch Wall Street Trapper. He always say, "I'm going to change my last name into an asset," and it can do that. And I think if I can reach those middle school kids and the teenagers and their parents and be able to go in those communities and show them, because I mean, I had my daughter at 19 years old, so I understand. I came from Orlando, Florida, graduated from Evans, so I'm not some suburban kid who had it all together. So I just want to be able to teach them, because like 61% of black women are not invested in the stock market. Like, why aren't we over here getting this wealth that we deserve? So I would love to be able to teach, our community. I'm focused on us because we need that. Previously, baby, I want to be able to go into Van Cleef and points and go get whatever
I
what
like
I
it.
want, because I love me a nice bag. I just want to be able to go in stores and point and don't worry about the tag. I want that.
I mean, and that is an investment because the resale value of a good bag. So it's an investment. That's good.
And you, Jess,
Okay.
what about you?
Um, for me, I it's weird. It's a weird one, and this is probably one that I'm gonna eventually invest in. Actually, within the next couple of years, I would buy a Jeremiah's and probably buy a bunch of them.
I knew that one.
So when I first went to a Jeremiah's, I liked the how it was set up, and I actually reached out to them prior to them franchising. So they were not franchised yet. And this is Jeremiah's Italian Ice for anybody watching that doesn't know. They're a place here that does gelatos, and their model tends to be places that are very small. There's outside seating, but there's no seating inside for most of the places. Now they do have some. Back when I first was looking at the franchising, they didn't. So I reached out to them. I asked them if they were franchising. They were like, "Nope, we don't franchise yet. We think about it for the future. We'll reach out to you once we have that set up." And so now they do franchise, and I want to buy a Jeremiah because I think it's a very lucrative idea, and I would also invest in my own business. So I have a side business that with an idea that you can walk into a store and customize like a
Anything.
bunch of different types of things. Basically anything you can customize: mugs, keychains. You can customize puzzles. Anything that you want, you get like a base design, and you customize it there. And within 15 to 20 minutes, you can have your design, and you can choose different colors, all sorts of things. And so there are different places that you can do that, like in malls for like specifically t-shirts, specifically mugs, specifically this. I want you to be able to walk in and have like your pick of a bunch of different types of inventory, be able to specify and personalize and customize what you want.
Like a Walmart
and
for
you've
customizing.
basically and you have it in short order. And if you want a brand new design from scratch, you can ask for a brand new design to be created from scratch as well, and you just put in that order. That will take a little longer, but you still have it in pretty short order, and you can just pick it up in a couple hours. So that would be,
Yes. Let us
I
know
would
when you
put more
drop
money
that.
into something like that. Well, I have a business, Monfrey Desir LLC, so that I'm still working on, like, building it up and building my brand. But it's something that I really believe in, and I think would, like, I would love to do. I would love to walk in somewhere and customize something.
What was
So
that business called again?
it's Monfrey Desir LLC.
Hey, yes, drop that. Plug that. Yes.
So
What
now
about
you're
you,
gonna go
Autumn?
ahead and put the little QR code at the bottom of this video.
I will put it at the end of the video so that if anybody wants to go and take a look. The
Nice.
My website should be finished in the next couple weeks. What
Miss
about you, Autumn?
Autumn?
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
Real estate and stocks.
real estate, and stocks. Hey,
I wanted to
Yes.
can't go wrong with those.
global real estate. Global real estate. That's where I want my next stock.
Global real estate.
Paused for a while, but that's my that's one of my.
Your audio is a little intermittent again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Kind of. It's going in and out a bit, but
Is this
it
thing
sounded like
on?
you were saying you like stocks
Hello.
and real estate, and you were doing global real estate. It's on pause right now, but you're doing. Yeah, I know you're very much into into stocks and real estate. That's your thing. Stocks, real estate, and traveling. That's Miss Autumn's ever since I've known her. So I do have one more question for Shakola, since we only have about 4 or 5 minutes left for the podcast. So rainy day bucket. So we talk about, like you already said, about $1,000 for your emergency fund. But what is the gold standard of what you would want to try to make sure you've got for like your rainy day fund?
You need at least 3 to 6 months. I always say 1,000 because that's always easier to achieve for people. But honestly, 3 to 6 months, because if you ever deal with unemployment, it might take you 2 months to get back on your feet. But at least you don't lose everything that you worked for within those 2 months. Also, something that I didn't mention before, I think it helps some people save a little bit of money. We don't use credit properly. Get your credit card that gives you cash rewards. Like, I had a credit card last year that gave me enough point cash rewards. I was able to do most of my kids' Christmas with. So I charge literally everything except for my mortgage and my truck payment on my credit card. Now I pay it off, but charge everything that you spend your cash on with your credit card and let those cash rewards build up. Right now I have like 380 in rewards. You can take that and go put that in your high yield savings account to save, start your savings account. So use credit properly, and that'll help you out in itself.
And what would you say? What would be I know I try to make sure I have no annual fee, and
Right,
I
right.
always want to make sure. What would you say would be your percentage that you want to carry a balance? So if you're carrying balance month to month, how much?
Never over 30% is the standard, but 10% would be even better if you can go under that. And if you do carry a balance, try not to carry a balance unless it's a 0% offer. Now, I have a credit card where it has 0%, and that has a balance because I can put that money in a savings account and get my 3.5% of my high yield savings versus paying off that 0% credit card. But try to have 0% if you're going to carry a balance. Don't carry a balance with a 29% APR. It's just working against you.
And so I want to kind of circle back to what we mentioned earlier. So I kind of want to close out, and anybody who has any thoughts on this topic, what do you guys think that investing well will mean for Black families, and for real any families, but we are all, the five of us are part of the Black community, so really, we understand, like, the lack of investing, what that's done to Black communities. So what do you think, if we all get together and like grab our friends and teach and really build each other up in the community and allow investing to become an integral part of the community, what will that do for the Black community in the long run?
Better
Give us
mental health.
power.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, no, just give us power. But yeah, definitely better mental health. But we'll have power, the power that we always had that they were scared for us to have, but we'll have it back.
I have nothing to add. Y'all hit it right on the head.
Power and mental health, those are really, really big things. And I think overall, I think we can Just to add just a little bit to the power portion, like I think we will be able to take better better care of each other. So I think sometimes, especially when everybody's struggling, sometimes it can be like crabs in a bucket. Everybody's trying to crawl their way out, and sometimes you don't even realize you're pulling somebody else down to try to get higher, to try to just get out of the bucket. And if we are in better financial standing, it really helps for us to all be in a better place mentally, spiritually, in a better place in general, place in communities. We can invest in our communities for the value of our communities to go up. Then we have more money to put into home repairs and into getting that side business started that you've always been thinking about doing, and really allow our community to do more than just, I hear it way too often. I gave my last. Well, I don't want to have to give my last. I want to be able to help somebody and still be doing well myself. And to do that, we have to make sure that we're focusing on the financial wellness piece and the investing that can really help for our communities to do better as a whole. Does anybody have any other comments before we get out of here?
We got to change the culture when it comes to money as well. There's so many dynamics that influence the way we look at money, how we handle money. There's so many facets. It's a dismantling process. It's a lot of work, but I believe it's worth it. But we got to start at ground zero. We got to figure out where ground zero is when it comes to finance and work.
Well,
We tried to follow Autumn, we really did, but most of the audio was gone.
that audio
We
was
were like,
was
we gonna get
intermittent
this.
again.
I felt you though, girl. I felt you, and you real for that one. You real.
Shakola, thank you for joining us.
It was
You
a
have
pleasure.
been with us. Thank you so much for all of our viewers for joining us for Different Walk Serious Talks. Let us know if you have a specific topics you'd like for us to touch on. I'll reintroduce all the people who've been here, which is Keisha, Farah, Autumn, and myself, Jessica, and our guest star for today, which is Shakola. Shakola, where can they find you on Facebook? How can they find you?
It's just my name, Shakola Santiel, Santiel.
Okay, so if you have need of any financial tips, reach out to Shakola and she, or take a look at her Facebook. She's got some good financial tips on there for investing and financial wellness. And let us know. Drop a comment below, and if you have any questions, and we can kind of give some more tips and information for what we've got about what investing can really do for our communities. Thank you for joining us, and you have a good day.